go live.
Lonely night, spiraling, no one that I can call. Parents gone again, I'm so alone. My toes are on the ledge. It's a Friday night, football game. Check my Twitter feed, they're making fun again. Can't show my face.
Good afternoon to another episode of the Bar Podcast, the Mental Health Hour. A little special mental health hour today with my co-host and son, very blessed, Austin Leum. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, hey guys. Hope everyone's doing good and glad you're here.
Yeah. So we're trying some new technology today, and this is some different... If I'm holding up here a minute, I'm just kind of testing some stuff here. Okay, cool. Right on. We're good to go. Anyways, we're testing some new technology, just another way to bring content to what we do at Building a Refuge and to you all around mental health and suicide prevention. And today, we have a pretty cool little episode teed up for you all. Austin, over the last couple of months anyways, has reached out to the Facebook net of friends that he has, and I think we have at Building a Refuge, to tee up some questions around addiction and I think overall just mental health and stuff like that, and some cool stuff. But anyways, man, if you don't know, we are a men's mental health support group based out of Carmel, Indiana. Been in existence since 2018. And really just care about guys, man, and care about the well-being of others anyways. And we do it in a little bit of a different fashion. Sometimes we come at you like in this environment. Sometimes we do events. Sometimes we have meetings. Sometimes we have a more studio-cut version of a podcast with some pretty cool guests. But anyways, today we're going to tee up some cool Q&A with Austin. I appreciate you, buddy. I love you. You've had quite a year. What did I say the other day? 440 days,
yeah,
just about now?
It is 461.
461. Well, that is amazing, man.
Yeah.
I'm humbled to hear you say that. So, anyways, man, all right, buddy, let's just jump in and take it away.
So today's episode's a little different. Normally we have a guest on or we're talking about kind of some certain topics and stuff. Today's, like I said, a little different. It's personal, important, and, kind of long overdue in our space. Like my dad said earlier, over the past, I'd say month and a half, I've reached out to people via Facebook, and just some of my personal friends, whether they're coworkers or just people I run into on a day-to-day basis, just about, certain things that they struggle with mentally, whether it be something with a job, addiction, anything like that kind of has to do with mental health and struggles of really just day-to-day life. And so in this episode, just kind of going to respond to some of those questions. I'll preface, like, I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm nothing like that. These are just kind of some answers with doing some, digging through the internet when I may not had an answer for it and kind of got a more... I don't know, study book answer on it. And then some from my own personal experiences as well. So, this is obviously a partnership with Building a Refuge, men's mental health organization, but I don't want people to be mistaken that this conversation is not just specifically directed towards men. This is anyone who's felt overwhelmed, isolated, or kind of stuck in a cycle that they're struggling with and can't seem to break.
Hey Austin, real quick question for you, man. What kind of made you think about putting some of this stuff together? Like, why'd you go, hey, let's just ask some questions around it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's a part of my, I guess I'll say, healing process as well. I really like to kind of share what I've gone through. And, bounce those things off of other people and friends, family that may be struggling with things. Because it is, the first hardest step is admitting that you are struggling with something and going through something that you just truly don't know an answer to. And this could be the first step for somebody hearing something I share, one of these questions that somebody has asked and answered to. It might be the first step in helping. So I get a lot of humbleness and just joy out of sharing my struggles and even triumphs that I've gotten through and conquered now.
Yeah.
Just through going through my sobriety journey and things like that. So,
Yeah. No, that's
it's
great,
kind
man.
of, I know we're on Facebook, so there is some filters on here. You have to be a little more concerning about how we talk and things like that. But for the most part, this is kind of a no shame, no filter, just real conversations about real life problems. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's good to, kind of, right, put a foundation or some framework around, what this is all about. And I mean, it's pretty cool, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm, as a parent, right, I'm super grateful that we can have this conversation, but I think even for parents that are out there that they might be going through this, type of a situation with their own kids, it's kind of good to hear real life examples of real life shit, right?
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, with that, I'll just kind of get into some of the questions I'd had submitted to me. Again, I want to preface, I said it in my Facebook post. I'm not going to release any names, anything like that. This is meant to be completely safe and anonymous. So, first one I had submitted was how do you deal with feeling like a failure to your family? And this was a big question. It was like one of the first ones I got, and I was like, oh, that's a big one. So kind of, for me personally, one of the big one, I guess, coping mechanisms of this for me was to really try and challenge your negative self-talk. You know, people, and especially in human beings in today's age, are very, very hard on themselves. And that has a lot to do with social media, news and things like that, that you have to keep up with this, steps of where everyone else is in the world, and you worry so much about where you are. You're hard on yourself. You're like, oh, I don't have a good enough job. I don't, I'm not living the life I should be. And that's just all internally that you're telling yourself. And so I think that's a big first step in doing that, is just challenging that negative self-talk. And that can even be like writing down all the negative things you think about yourself, and you might, and then just correlating those to be like, well, all of that's nothing, none of that's actually true. And then speak to someone you trust about it. That's always an answer to about everything that we talk about. Whether that's a friend, family member, I know this is about family member, but maybe your sister and you are close or something like that, and you can talk to her like, hey, mom, I really think mom and dad think that I'm just, kind of a screw up in the family, and I'm not living up to their expectations. Talk to somebody, like, again, that you trust about that, and you can bounce ideas off of, because the more people you talk to, you'll humble yourself a lot about it, and kind of realize that you are talking yourself down, and you're not in those situations.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I can add, just as it relates to, from a dad's perspective, right? I mean, and to you know this because we've had these talks before in the past, right? I mean, no matter what, when you're a parent, you love your kids unconditionally. You know what I mean? No matter what. And even going through this time frame with you, there were times that, mom and I, of course, were scared, we were concerned, we were things like that. But you're an adult, and so you have to also we have to give you and your sister, and you have to give kids anyways. You got to give them space. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't mean we don't care. It doesn't mean we don't love you. It doesn't mean any of that, because that's all there. And I think, to your point, Austin, I think what the alcohol did, and it blocked you from seeing that, right? That was a veil that, in your own mind, you probably, and I don't know, I'll ask you the question, right? I mean, in your mind, it probably distorts it to a point where you think, man, everybody thinks I'm a jackass or a screw up or whatever.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
mean,
Maybe it's a question, right?
you get in, they call it a cycle, and it is. It's a cycle of you're dealing with something, whether you're anxious, depressed, angry, whatever it may be, and you get in this cycle. And whether and for this instance, about being a failure to your family, you'll get in this cycle, then you'll talk down on yourself and be like, man, like I don't have a good enough job. I can't live up to what my dad's been or what he's going towards. I can't,
Mm-hmm.
And then to cope with that, you get into whether it's alcohol, drugs, porn. It could be anything
Yeah.
that helps you mask and not talk about those things.
Yeah.
And then it's a cycle all over again. So then you're out, and in my scenario, drinking till 2-3 in the morning. And you go home, pass out, but then you do it all again the next day because then again, all of those emotions come back up because you didn't really deal with them. You just shoved them down and said, "Oh, I'm gonna drink to just hide all of these," and again mask how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And then you got to deal with them all again the next day, and you get into this cycle of okay, well now I'm feeling this depression or anxiety again. I'm gonna go drink because that's the only thing I know how to self-medicate myself with.
Yeah.
To push those feelings away.
Were there, which I probably know some of the answers right to this, but I mean, was there things also that are triggers, that kind of, I guess, suck you in too, like, hey, come out to the bar today. It's this, it's that, it's whatever. It's this social, right, environment.
Yeah, and
like,
that we can kind of touch on that the farther we go because I kind of want to just keep this about that question as being a failure to the family.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But to cap off this first question, and you touched on it too, even kind of the mental space you were in when I did go to treatment and came to you guys with this problem, like, you were like, well, what kind of father am I? I didn't know this was going, no one knew. Again, no one knew this was really going on with me because I didn't share with anybody. But the biggest thing I can test to that is, as you even shared, like, you're not alone. No, you're not alone in this. I can guarantee you on planet Earth that we live in, there's at least one other person, and I can guarantee you there's more than one, that's dealing with that same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, man, I mean, I think that's a great question. You going through what you've been through, in your experience, you can talk about this firsthand, right? And, for those people that catch this or listen to this, you can reach out to us, at buildingarefuge.org. There's places that you can reach out. You can reach out to us on, Facebook. You can reach out to us on all the social media sites, really platforms. But, what I think, anyways, in this kind of way that feel this goes is, we hope that we have other people, right, that maybe would want to give us some feedback too, right? I mean, I think that's the intent, right, that you want to get to.
Yeah, I mean, feedback on the conversation we're having, whatever it may be. I mean, feedback's always important, and maybe maybe I missed things in that as well. And it's like, well, you didn't really touch on this. That's fine too. Give me that feedback. All feedback is good feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, pulling up my notes. So actually, your question about other triggers and things like that, actually, it goes right into this next question: is alcohol really the problem, or is there something else? And there's a lot of ways to look at that, but in a nutshell, it is something else. Alcohol is the temporary solution to a different problem, and it then. Doing that and treating it that way, it manipulates itself into the problem. There's 178,000 people that die a year in the U.S. alone due to alcohol-related occasions. Think of it this way. It's 487 people a day.
That's, I mean...
You know what I mean? Like, when you break it down to that, just in our country alone.
487 people a day, right?
Yeah.
That's 177,000 people a year. And, I stop you there only because, like, I remember listening to a podcast recently. I don't know if it was Joe Rogan or who it was. but they were saying like, look, if there was a plane accident or there was a
Yeah, I have that. So
yeah, like if
487
there was
people,
something like that, like people would blow
it's
up,
equivalent
right?
to two 737 airplanes full.
Yeah,
And imagine that 2 of those crashed every single day.
yeah.
It's all over the news, everywhere, every news
People hit
outlet,
the fan, right?
worldwide. But that's just in our country alone.
Yeah.
So, back to the original question. Alcohol, is a temporary, it's a self-medication for a deeper problem that you're dealing with. Again, going back to whether it's depression, anxiety, stress, and then, again, you become so reliant on it. It turns itself into the problem because then you rely on that.
Yeah.
So, kind of back to the question you asked, are there other triggers? I mean, there's different triggers for every person.
Yeah.
Someone going through recovery, I mean, they could be walking in a gas station or a gas station parking lot and see a little fireball shooter, and that could be a trigger for them. That'll boom, it just clicks something in their brain, and then they go and relapse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think personally one, and this I think I dealt with some as well, is like they call it FOMO, but that fear of missing out. Everyone else is out, having fun. Well, but it's people do have fun and drink. I just can't do it. But having fun and drinking and this and that, and I think there is a lot of people that deal with that fear of missing out on something, so they just go out and drink. And I talked to my therapist about this in treatment and stuff too. A lot of mine was out of pure boredom as well.
Yeah.
Because I'd lost so much of what I would fill my free time with. Like it just slowly became more and more filling my time with drinking rather than taking a walk or going to the gym, going fishing, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
All of So then, when I'm bored and I have nothing to do, your mind just immediately clicks, go to the bar and drink.
Yep. Let me go back, I want to make sure too that people understand, like, these questions came to you from essentially like a survey that you did, right? Like these aren't questions that you came up with in your own head. You kind of sought out the audience and said, "Hey, what questions do you have?" Right?
Yeah.
Which I think they're important, man.
There's a couple in here that I did add in just for educational purposes, I guess. But yeah, 95% of these are all, from a census, essentially, that I just put out and people direct message me, text me about.
Yeah. So I know one of the, and I'll ask you this because I know this, again, I'm probably a little bit more on the inside, right? Because you're my son and we've lived around one another, but I know one of the triggers that I know you mentioned, at least have mentioned to me in the past, was, the loss of your friend, right?
Yeah.
And I think, trauma, yeah.
Yeah, trauma, grief. I mean, both of those kind of go hand in hand. And, grief, there's 5 stages of it, but it's very easy to get stuck in certain stages of those. Which actually I didn't even write those down. I should have. But, I kind of
Is there a link where somebody can go find those? I'll put it on here, man.
I'd say I could look at, but there's 5, stages of grief. I was actually just looking it up myself too.
Yeah.
And so here they are. This one's got 7, but so shock isn't really one that I talk about. So denial is typically the first one, which I stayed in for quite a while because it was just hard for me to believe. I mean, you were there the day I found out, about his passing, and it was just so hard for me to believe. And then, so I stuck in that for a while, and only way I knew how to do that is drink. So then after that is anger, and that's another tough one for people to really get out of. I know you probably dealt with it with the loss of your brother, our uncle. It it's an easy one to get caught up in because you ask so many questions, whether whether it was suicide and overdose, you just ask so many questions in your own head. It's
Right.
why, that is so stupid and blah, and you just get so mad at about the situation.
Yeah.
Personally, that one for me, and it could have just, been, I guess, my generation I've grown up in as millennials. That one I didn't stick in too long. I wasn't really, I was more upset about after I found out who had sold him the drugs and things like that. I actually had known that guy as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I was more angry about. I was pissed off at him, not my friend.
Yeah.
And then after that is bargaining. And that's another easy one to get caught up in too because
I don't know if I've ever, I don't know if I've ever really heard much.
So that's like you're basically, well, if I would have just hung out with him that night, I could have done something so this wouldn't have happened. Or, if only I would have reached out to them more. If I would have, if. That's kind of that bargaining area within the stages of grief. And again, that can, be a tough one for, all of these can be tough ones, for individuals to get through. Personally, I didn't, I struggled with that for a while because I was just like, man, if I would have hung out with them a week before, who knows, maybe we would have made plans that night. This wouldn't have happened. But then the next one is the one people get stuck in, I would say, most commonly, and that's depression. That's just feeling lost and hopeless, and because they're gone, and, it's like, the world, it doesn't matter anymore. Screw it, basically. And, I got caught in that for a while, too, because it was just, the final step of grief is acceptance. And it really wasn't until, I'd say shortly before I decided to go into treatment that I kind of accepted it. And that it was like, there was nothing I could have done. There was nothing no one else could have done. I told myself these things back, but I never really believed them. I finally came to the acceptance that, what, nothing was going to change what happened that night. He was going to do that, whether he drove in his car and did it, it didn't matter. So, yeah, it was just kind of one of those things. But depression's easy to get, it's really easy to get stuck in. It's just a never-ending cycle of just, I like to say that F it button. F it. I'm going to go drink. F it, F it, F it. Nothing matters. It's what's this world? It's the lost cause anyways. And man.
Well, it's, I think I think it's cool to talk about those stages, right? And then, we kind of do a follow-up around this. Maybe you can put a link out there for people to go to.
Yeah, those are, to find those, it's easy, really easy Google search. Just type in 5 stages of grief or stages of grief, and then, you'll get tens of hundreds of links on what they are, how to deal with them, and it always goes back to, if you're struggling to deal with them, talk to a therapist. There's so many online therapy outlets now that you can sit here like you and I are right now and talk about whatever you're going through.
Yeah, and that's what I think is really awesome, dude. Like, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Actually, I'm just kind of texting some people out there because when I shared this link, for whatever reason, it just took them to Facebook and didn't take them to our live feed. But, it's important. You know what I mean? Like, I see how important it is, to share this journey, man. And that's what it is. And, you have been very courageous in your walk to say, I need to stop, right? Like, that alone in itself, just that alone in itself is just such a, and I know you know this, but for the audience, it's such a huge accomplishment for oneself, because that's a drawing a line in the sand moment of life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a saying, look, man, I'm just putting my foot down because I want to change. Um, but all of this, right? You draw that line in the sand. What you're talking about, Austin, is all that stuff pre that line, right? Because
Right.
hell, man, I know you could have, I know we could have a cool discussion about everything post that line that has
Yeah.
been this year, this last, 490 days or 400, however many days it is.
61.
Okay, there you go, 461. That's right. 'Cause I can remember I think I sent you some message about an engine, like a four something, 440 or 445 or whatever. Anyways, but you could talk about these X amount of days from June 28th, 1994, Austin's born on date, all the way up until April 29th, 2024.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yep.
there's a lot of stuff there. And I think what that means is just simply anybody who's listening out there that's 31 years old, life is different today, man. Here's what I want to say too though. As a guy that's 55, stepping outside the shoes of Pops, as a guy that's 55, the world wants you to drink and fuck up.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just what it is. They want you to do that, and it's hard sometimes to not do that. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's there's like to your point earlier, Austin. Like put the question here: am I a failure to my family? No, you're not.
Correct.
Now I'm telling you that, right? Have I felt that way too? Sure, 100% yes, 150% yes. But no, you're not. And I think that that is just that's something that in itself needs a lot of work and practice on. But I mean, I just think it's really cool that you're open to doing this. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't even separate myself, as a dad or whatever. There's a lot of people out there that wouldn't want to do this. But I know you well enough that you just care about people. You genuinely care about people. You've always had that in your heart, no matter if it was during the times that you were drinking or not. That part of your heart is still there today. It's always there. And what's cool is it's just become more amplified today in what you're doing right now.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It might be a little biased, but
No, and that's like just so like my response to that is, alcohol enhances a lot of the senses. So, if you'd have been drinking and someone says something like that to you, you're like, oh, thank you so much. But, being sober and trying to, you know me in the first place too. Mom tries to give me a hug and I'm just kind of like, ugh. I love you, but I don't like to be touched. And so, it's one of those things to try and deal with, not deal with, but accept nice things being said to you, but being sober. I've gotten a lot better at it. Like one of the big things I took from recovery in some of my classes in there was, when someone does compliment you, say thank you. Even if you're uncomfortable, just say thank you. Because it'll eventually train you to just get better at accepting those things. Because for someone struggling with mental health and or addiction, you kind of get in that spot in the first place because you're already struggling with something within yourself. Mm-hmm. So once you get sober, now you're struggling with accepting those nice things being said to you. And yeah, so just kind of a little fun snippet there. Not really fun, but just informational snippet there to share. So this next one I got, we'll kind of keep moving because I know we've already been on here a half hour and I'm not even halfway through
right?
these. So
yeah, it's good.
There's no time limit on hope. So
no, man.
So the next one I got this was kind of one I just came up with. For someone that maybe they think they're struggling with a mental illness, but maybe it's just stress or something like that. Instead, this is kind of just, what is the difference between stress and a mental health disorder? So, and these are some answers I got when doing some research. So stress is a response to to external pressures and like usually are temporary. And a mental health disorder is, can come from these same things, an external event, but it has ongoing symptoms that end up interfering with your day-to-day life. So then I just had some, examples of stress. It'd be like a deadline at work or school. You're feeling overwhelmed and just anxious about that. But then once you get it done, those kind of symptoms, I guess I'll say, they dissipate. It's like, okay, I got the paper turned in. I got that deadline made at work. Like public speaking, that's a big one for people. That's just stress. That's, when you get up in front of people, that's a natural reaction for some, that they just get nervous on stage and your heart races. You might get sweaty. That's natural. That's just stress. Relationship conflicts. I think about everyone goes through conflicts, but when it comes to stress, again, it's more of that short-term sadness and maybe frustration after an argument with your significant other. It's not this thing that's affecting your day-to-day life. And then a last one is like moving to a new city, just feeling unsettled, nervous, and having a tough time with the transition. Those are all normal things, as long as they dissipate. And then some examples of actual mental health, would be anxiety disorder. That's constant worrying and for no reason. When you're just laying in bed and you're like, God, why am I anxious? I don't know. Panic attacks. I can, kind of attest to that. I still have them from time to time, and I don't know why. They just come on. Like me and my girlfriend could be driving to dinner, and out of nowhere, I just my heart starts racing. I get really hot, almost nauseous. Like it comes out of nowhere. And sometimes I don't know why. But that's something, to look at for like anxiety and things like that. Another one, major depression. So that's, feeling lost, hopeless, and, you kind of lose interest in it. Normal things in life that used to make you happy, whether, I'll use some of my examples, whether that be fishing, whether that be going for walks, like you lose that passion you used to have for those things, fatigue, that's a big one that gets missed by a lot of people. Sometimes, you may just be feeling really tired and weak, and you could be dealing with depression. It might not be major depression, but it could just be something that you haven't dealt with that's now catching up with you. PTSD, I think a lot of people know what that is. Flashbacks or nightmares of a previous traumatic event that you've gone through.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. Because I've done a lot of, well, I won't say I've done a lot of research. I'm not an expert on it, but I've done research on PTSD, going through the loss of Brent, and but PTSD. What I would want to say for the audience to understand too is, it doesn't have to be what we think. What I always thought PTSD was only veterans, only armed, our military that have went through some traumatic experience were the ones that dealt with PTSD. Now, that is a very, very serious situation with our veterans, and we appreciate all of our veterans greatly. But small things like a breakup, like a pet loss, like seeing something, like little things can really trigger PTSD, and what's called small PTSD. I think it's PTS and a small. I don't know. It's one of those that's a small, what they call it, I guess. But that can be very impactful and paralyzing on people, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loss of a job. Loss of a business. Anything, man. I mean, it's just something that's traumatic in your life. That's an impactful moment, right?
Right.
And and your brain, you gotta, your brain is just not equipped every day to figure it out. And I mean, the reason that I looked into it, Austin, and I'm sure you'll agree, the reason I looked into it was I, at a work function meeting, this came up, and it came up with how like small PTSD can impact the levels of cortisol in your body, and what cortisol can do to your body overall if it's mass producing, right? And it usually mass produces under anxiety and stress and, PTSD. situations like that.
Yeah.
So I just, I think it's a great point, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to say too, like all of these, for one, it's okay to have a mental health disorder.
Yeah.
That number one. And number two, like all of these, I don't want to, when I'm explaining them, they don't, they still haven't done a good job with the stigma of like making everything I just mentioned. There's a couple more on there, bipolar disorder and OCD. Like they don't do it. They use the definitions of them to make them seem the scariest and most outlandish thing in the world. They're not. People deal with OCD every day. It's like I like people deal with these mental health issues and live a completely normal life. It's not like you're, just living a completely, tent on the side of the road life. Those are the severe cases of these things, yes.
Sure.
But dealing with, they can all be treated, and you can live a normal life. It's not, I just wanted to preface that before I got into there. Another one I got was, I thought this was a good one too, and we kind of talk about it a lot at Building a Refuge, and is, why is there still a stigma around mental health? And I'll let you attest to that. I'll kind of say my thoughts on it. Mine is just it's a lot of misinformation. It kind of goes back to what I just said about all of the mental health disorders. Not that it's, I don't want to say that's misinformation, because the information is right, but they're presenting it in, I guess, just not the most efficient ways to help people and make people feel like, oh, it's okay that I deal with anxiety and have panic attacks from time to time. They present it as, these are bad. Like if you're dealing with depression, like it's bad and you need to go to therapy every single day. Like that's not the truth around it. So, I think it needs to be, just again, the kind of how we're doing this. There just needs to be more education on it, more talks about it, and just promoting stories of recovery and resilience going through these things.
Yeah. Look, that's a huge question, and, I usually will get pretty fired up anymore around that question and the stigma. And, the stigma, what that means to me, it's pretty much, it's any pause when it comes to talking about anything related, whether it's self or someone else, mental health related. Mm-hmm. It's that pause, like, oh, better not talk about that. Oh, if I talk about it, somebody's going to think something different of me. Oh, I got something wrong with me. Oh, you know what I mean? It's like all that stuff. And I just, anymore, I just, probably I'm pretty bold about it, and I don't know if that's the right thing either, because I don't know if some people can handle as bold as I talk about it. I try to simplify mental health in this way, and you've heard me say it before, Austin, like, everybody has a mental health thermometer. Some days are cold, some days are warm. Shit, some days are hot as AF, right? Yeah. Some days are cold as AF. Fine. Everybody has it. And I think if we could get to a point in this society where people just understand that everybody has a mental health thermometer in their body, mm-hmm. and whether it's hot one day, cold one day, or whatever, it's okay.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But we're so far from that.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten a little better with it, but we're so far from it. Like,
yeah.
Even as small things as, talking to people at work about it.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid of what other people might think.
So I want to share a funny story. So this was earlier this week. It kind of compares how I used to be when I was in active addiction and an active alcoholic drinking to where I am now, 461 days later, and how I react to certain things. So the other day in the apartment, I had cleaned some things up and, just straightened up the room, hung up some clothes and stuff. Well, I went to go change my shirt, and I went into the closet, and the whole closet rack had fell off the wall, just clothes laying on the ground everywhere, and I was like, okay, just like, well, I gotta fix a shelf. So, as I'm trying to pull the old one off the wall, the rod that the clothes hang on fell down and hit me square on top of the head. Hurt like a mofo. And I, out loud, I'm by myself. Out loud, I just go, well, that hurt. Just kind of like in a joking way, as if I was in like a sitcom.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until probably later that night I looked back on things and I go, I reacted completely different in that situation. This is something small, I reacted completely different in that situation to where I would have, a year and 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Because before, I would have been cursing the world that, for one, that it fell in the first place. And then second, when the rod hit me on the head, it would have been game over. Some things would have got thrown. I would have just been all kinds of seen red. And I don't know, it was just funny. And when you do treat some of these things you're dealing with, it's taken me 461 days to see that. But it does get better, and you do see those things.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's cool that you like. It's cool that you can use that analogy in a way that it relates back to, like, previous Austin, right? And it's kind of old way of, thinking, and it's okay to get hit on the head, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna get hit on the head.
Like I said, just that hurt. And
yeah, like
right.
that, and it's okay to say it hurt. You know what I mean? And I just, man. I mean, look, that's a big one to me. We do talk a lot about it at Building a Refuge. So I'll say this, for folks out there that might listen into this, come and check out one of our meetings. Our meetings are pretty chill. I'm going to plug a couple of these right now because I feel like it's a good opportunity to plug it. We host monthly meetings, just about every month anyways. I won't say every month, but just about every month at Harley-Davidson of Indianapolis and Fishers, Indiana. Great partner of ours. We have an upcoming event coming up where we partner with the VFW in Carmel, Indiana, Post 10,003. We have an event on Sunday, August 31st. It is the 2025 Rib Fest. This is pretty cool. First year doing this partnership with Carmel VFW. As I mentioned before, we have a veteran side of what we do, so we thank all of our veterans for everything that you've done. This is a really cool event, though, to bring awareness around suicide prevention, which Suicide Prevention National Day is September 10th. We know it impacts veterans, and also we know mental health impacts veterans. So definitely go check that out. You can go to our webpage at www.buildingarefuge.org for more information, or you can check it out here on Facebook. So I want to just bring that up. But we do things a little different, and we do it purposefully, right? Because I think just how you and I are wired and kind of the way the Leums have been wired in life, I'm not afraid to take things head on. And going through the experience of me losing my brother, your uncle, and us losing a stepsister, your step aunt, if we want to say step, she's just as much as a sister and family to us as anyone else. And a family that's been impacted by suicide twice in a very short period of time of life. We care about people, and we're going to do this. Austin, I think it's a lot of the reason why you want to share your experience, because you care about people out there, and there's other people out there that are struggling just like you, whether they were 30, 28, 29, 25, 55, 65, 85, whatever age that is, doesn't matter. They're just going through that struggle. Mm-hmm. And here at Building a Refuge, excuse my French, but we don't give an F. We're just going to meet dudes where they're at. We do cast a broad net. So, yes, we're a men's mental health support group, but we know that men are a big part of anybody's family, whether you're a son, you're a husband, you're a friend, you're whatever. And that's just why we do it. So I appreciate you letting me plug it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just keep kind of moving on with some of these questions. So another one I got is, how do you, I'm trying to just rephrase this because I didn't type it down very well. I guess, how do you correlate a difference between substance abuse and addiction. And for me, that's hard. Again, like I'm not a licensed therapist in recovery or anything like that, so this is kind of just how I see it. When I hear substance abuse, I think of that as more, that's a short term. Let's just use alcohol for instance. It's a short term use of alcohol. Maybe you drink too much one night and you wake up hungover, or it makes you sick, something like that. When it comes to addiction, it's more chronic, and it's continuing to use whatever substance that is, knowing that it's gonna harm you, and it changes your brain function on it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm hungover, I'm gonna go out and drink again, for one, to try and make myself feel better, but knowing dang well that it's gonna make me feel even worse come the next day. So that's my definition. I'd have to say on the difference between the two. If you do have that question, I'd recommend go and talk to somebody. If you're in the Hamilton County area, there's plenty of places you can just go talk to somebody about it and get some more insight. Allendale Treatment's a great one. That's where I went to kind of,
Yeah, they are.
not even kind of talk about. That's where they're located here in Carmel. That's where I went and talked about, my issue, my drinking issue, and the problem I had. So that's a great outlet to just go and bounce some of these thoughts and questions you have off of an actual trained professional. I'm kind of a locker room guy, maybe keeping you happy and saying, oh, but when it comes to something like that, that's a big question that should really be addressed by a licensed professional.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, you and I both aren't equipped, right? We can share real life story, but
right.
When it comes to that sort of thing, we do have a ton of resources that we partner with, and we're building those, growing those every day as we continue on, right? But we have everything from counseling to addiction treatment to, veteran help through the VA system to, whatever, right? I mean,
yeah.
So we have a ton of those resources out there that we can help with, but yeah, that's a great point, man.
Yeah, and so it kind of goes into my next one. Before I ask a question, I will say, again, if you really think you might be struggling with something like this, definitely talk to a licensed professional. But it was, what are some early signs of like alcoholism or dependency on it? And, some of those for me were needing to drink more to get the same effect. Everyone just says it's what do they call it? My brain's blanking.
What's
tolerance. A tolerance. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll just drink so long it's tolerance. Well, there could be something deeper there. So needing more alcohol to feel the same effect. If you're drinking alone or hiding it from friends and family, neglecting responsibilities, that was a big one for me. That I didn't. You don't realize it in the moment, but as I got towards the end, you realize a lot of the everyday things that you're neglecting because of it. Whether that's personal hygiene, whether that's doing your dishes, it could be anything. But these basic bills, whatever it may be, all of these basic things to live, you start neglecting and going out and drinking or using a substance over those things. So those are just some early signs that I came up with. I'm sure there's hundreds of more. Like I said, again, if you do think you're really struggling with that, talk to a licensed professional. I can't recommend Allendale enough. They're great. They have a satellite office here in Carmel, recovery center up in Fort Wayne, and they deal with everything from alcoholism, substance abuse, to even just if you're dealing with mental health stuff too.
Yeah, they opened up recently. I know up in Fort Wayne they opened up a behavioral health center. So, super great resource, man. That they are for sure.
Yeah, and then did I have more? So the last question I had, I didn't really like this one.
For today, anyways, man. I
Yeah,
feel like
for
you
today.
might like continue these on.
I make it more. Yeah, I make it more. But
Yeah.
it is. I didn't love this question. But it's, can someone recover from addiction without professional help? The answer to that is yes. I mean, it is yes. Some do, but there's such a, especially with alcoholism, there's such a danger in that,
Yeah.
because of the withdrawal symptoms. It affects your brain so much more than other substances that if you kind of do that stop cold turkey, I mean, you could send yourself into, and this is a little harsh, but a seizure that it never stops and it'll kill you.
Sure.
So it's a very, very, very dangerous thing to do. If you are struggling with it, again, I would say seek professional help on that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question real quick, and because it's on the same vein, I want you to continue on with it. But would you say, from an importance perspective, if somebody's like, because there's real life situations out there where somebody might be able to not be able to take 30 days or whatever to go to a treatment center, right? So, would you say like that's number one if you can? Number two is an outpatient, and number three is cold turkey.
I wouldn't even recommend cold turkey. I just
Okay, yeah,
I
that's good.
can't.
I get it.
I can't in good faith recommend that.
Yeah.
It's not even biased just from the experience I had and what I went through. It's from a health standpoint. If you're even thinking about doing that, at least talk to your doctor about it.
Yeah.
And make sure you don't have any underlying issues that could cause harm or death.
Yeah.
It's just not something I could recommend. And that's just from a health standpoint. Now, if you are healthy and your doctor says, yeah, great, that's awesome. I would also recommend, though, whether it's going to an AA meeting or following a 12-step program, because it is very difficult to do alone. And you're not. It's not going to hurt you to go to anything like that. It's not. So the only thing it can do is benefit you. So yeah, like I said, I wouldn't recommend just self doing it by yourself. It's just
I mean, listen, I know I ask that only just for folks that are listening, and I've tried as I've gotten. I don't know if I've gotten any better as a host of this deal, but I always try to put myself in the shoes of the audience member that this might come across to somebody one day. Eric Robinson was always really good at asking this question, and this is that guy that's sitting in the basement right now in the midst of this battle, in the midst of this storm. What's gonna maybe help him if he hears this? Go, wow, I should maybe check this out. Maybe I call Allendale tomorrow. You know what I mean? Just to ask the question.
Yeah.
That's what I'm always like.
And something as simple, again, like if you can't afford something like that, I mean, go to a meeting because they're free, and you can talk to someone there.
Yeah.
For help as well.
Yeah.
Not
absolutely.
my road wasn't the only path to recovery. There's a ton of different ones. So I mean, if it is one of those things, like whether it's financially or something like that, there's meetings, every hour of the day, basically.
Yeah.
All around the country, and you can walk in there. You can sit and say nothing and just listen. You can share. You can ask questions. It's a really great community just to learn from, even.
Yeah.
So.
That part of it, man. We, again, just to kind of plug building a refuge, we're here to help. So we've helped out guys before in the past from a funding perspective. If they can't and don't have the funds to help get there, then just contact us and we can sit down and have a discussion around it. And if it makes sense for us, right, to support somebody in their journey, we'll do that. That's what we do. That's why we raise money. That's why we do these events. That's why we try to do our very best at, at helping guys out, in this situation, right? Because it's not cheap. A lot of places do accept insurance. If you don't have insurance, there's resources for that as well. So don't let that become the hurdle, right? Just reach out, to somebody and ask. Kind of goes back to that question you asked earlier, Austin, like, it's okay to raise your hand, right? Like, it's okay to ask a question. It's okay to say, hey, man, I need help.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Well, we're up here. We're about 5 minutes to the top of the hour. And I just got a question for you because I feel like, and I don't know if you're down for this or not, but I love the way this is going. And I might want to ask you a question that teases another discussion at some point in time. Now that we have some new technology that we can work with and be a little bit more nimble, right? Added to the studio podcast and our live podcast and this kind of stuff that we're doing anyways. But just tee up, or if you can, talk a little bit about the spirituality aspect of what Christ has done for you in this walk post drawing that line in the sand.
Yeah. No, that's
and this
great
one
question.
could be an hour. This one could be an hour-long discussion on its own. So
I don't want to base my answer that it has to be off of Christianity or Catholicism or Hinduism or whatever.
Amen.
From
Love
my
that. I hope people hear that right there.
For me, yes, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and that is who has helped me and guided me in this direction. I know if you go back and listen to my first podcast when I came out of recovery, I think I was only like 4 months maybe.
Yep.
I said I had a day where he spoke to me, and he did. It was a Sunday like it is today, 75 and sunny, and he said, just kind of let it go. I got this. And I did. That drove straight to, your guys' house and let it all out. But, there's a couple of things that stood out to me. One was on the drive to recovery. Rusty, our pastor, said, just remember you can't do this alone. And, things I learned through recovery is they say in both programs, AA and NA, is to find a higher power. And, whether that is Christ or whether that is the universe or whatever it may be, find something bigger than yourself to help drive you. And that, I think that just speaks a lot in volume right there, because we do live in a time now where, there are so many different religions and beliefs that, I want to make it clear, if you're not a believer in Christ, I'm not going to talk down on you for that. That's not what this is about. If you believe in a white unicorn runs this universe and that's what helps you get through, fantastic. That's amazing.
Yep.
If that's what's helping you, that's great. But yeah, I mean, for me, is I put my faith back into Christ, and I pray and about every single night, just and thank him for everything he's done and will continue to do, just through my journey on this. Again, like Rusty said, I wouldn't have been able to do it alone, and I think if you talk to a lot of people in recovery, successfully, it's never success. It's a everyday thing, but I think they'll tell you a lot of the same, that you can't do it alone, and whether that is you put your faith in a religion or the universe or just a program alone that works for you, it's great.
Yeah, no, I love that, dude. I love it, and like I said, I asked that question only because I knew how you would answer it, and I think that's super cool. I kind of got like, hey, listen to this first part of this, because I think it is important, right? Like, religion can get thrown in somebody's face, and quite frankly, religion can be a reason why somebody will go right back out that door and not want to seek help, because somebody puts expectation on people, right? And as you mentioned, you and I know that the guy that we believe in is never going to put any expectation on you. It's the humans that will put expectation on you. not him. I can assure you of that. And but I think it's great the way you frame that up. Like, hey, listen, man, find a center, right? That's what it is. Whatever you're at, that center is, you can focus on. That's the key. But we may tee that one up a little bit further.
Yeah.
I know
and
there's some guys.
Just another note that's important is, don't dive into it head first, but don't dive into it too much to where you think everything you do is a sin and you live life so guarded. Because I remember one time at church, Rusty said you can't go through your entire life thinking you're not going to sin. People sin every single day.
Amen. Yeah,
so,
for sure. But if you believe in him, then it's done. Like, it took me a long time to understand that, man. I mean, Austin, I didn't understand that until I was almost 50 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, once you truly, truly, truly understand, if you choose to believe in him, when he died on that cross, it's done. Everything in the past, present, and future has been dealt with.
Yep.
But you will make knucklehead decisions, and there are ramifications to this world that we live in, on this earth world. There's ramifications to that. But at the end of the day, if you believe in him, he dealt with that on the cross. And that's what's really cool, man. You know what I mean? But that will change your heart. And I can tell you this, it will diminish those knucklehead decisions.
Yeah,
Not all of them. I still make knucklehead decisions, dude, every single day. But, man, listen, I love you for doing this. I think it's great that you kicked me in the ass to do this. I would have not got this, this technology on behalf of Building a Refuge to do it. And we'll continue doing it, man. I know you're going to have more questions for people. And as this grows, we'll bring in more people. We can bring in, guests on this discussion. And, I just love you as a co-host and appreciate you for everything that you're doing with Building a Refuge, because, I mean, I'm 55. I come from a different vein. I sit and look at this screen. I'm over here and you're over there. We both come from such different vantage points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all this. And that's what I think is super cool. I appreciate you, obviously, as my son. I love you for what you do as a human. I love you for what you do as our son, and I just, I love you for what you're doing for others through this vertical, because I know it does touch people, man. Like, I tend to get down on myself many times too with Building a Refuge. Mom knows that. You guys have heard me. I'm like, God, I feel like I'm a lone man on an island out here. Yeah. But then I'll get an email, or I'll get a text, or I'll get a call, or I'll get something from somebody, man, that just, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm gonna keep rolling. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, we're gonna roll out of here, and we'll probably come at you guys again, here in the near future. We'll put it out on the social media sites, but like us, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, check out Austin. He puts a lot of cool stuff out. We'll come at you again here real soon. Thanks for joining.
My toes are on the ledge. It's a Friday night football game. Check my Twitter feed, they're making fun again. Can't show my face and I can't tell.